The Golden State Warriors had a very interesting offseason due to the Jonathan Kuminga saga that finally ended on Tuesday. Incoming third-year guard Brandon Podziemski tuned out all the noise and shared his goals for the season. He underwent 2 surgeries this past summer to repair injuries that hampered him in the playoffs. Speaking to reporters on the Warriors Media Day last Monday, Podziemski was asked about his recovery and overall off-season progression. He has been cleared to return and is focused on improving himself after a lackluster postseason. I think I looked at everything from the regular season from the playoffs. Things I need to work on. Bunch of things were accounted for this summer. Teams are more focused on you than the regular season, but I think the takeaway from it is you really get to see what you really need to work on and what's exposed to your game. And so, 12 games for me last year was really beneficial for this summer, Podziemski said. Podziemski also thought that he'll have an easier time adjusting to playing with Steph Curry. He averaged 11.7 points, 5.1 rebounds, 3.4 assists, and 1.1 steals per game last season. He had a fluctuating role as a starter and coming off the bench. The 22-year-old guard had identical numbers in the playoffs, putting up 11.3 points, 5.0 rebounds, 3.1 assists, and 1.3 steals per game. However, his shooting went from 44.5% in the regular season to just 36.4% in the postseason. Warriors coach Steve Kerr's expectations of Brandon Podziemski. ESPN's Om Youngmisuk reported back in June that Brandon Podziemski underwent 2 surgeries in the offseason. Podziemski first had left wrist debridement surgery on May 27, followed by a procedure to repair a core muscle injury 2 weeks later. The Santa Clara product missed 18 games in the regular season, including 12 games due to a right abdominal injury before the end of 2024. He was cleared to return 2 weeks before training camp, so he'll be good to go this upcoming season. Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr has high hopes for Podziemski in his 3rd season. Kerr told the media at Tuesday's training camp that he's expecting the lefty guard to grow from his experiences in the playoffs last season. I think this is a year where he takes another step. To be able to get through that crucible where you're in the starting lineup, you're in the playoffs, spotlight's on you, you have a few bad shooting nights. Every player goes through that. He's a tough guy and a tough player. I just think that he's on a very natural progression to continue his improvement, Kerr said. Kerr also made quite a stir when he revealed that he doesn't plan on negotiating a new contract with the Warriors during the season. He's on the final year of his deal and could be free to sign with any other team next summer. Warriors finally ends Jonathan Kuminga saga. After a stalemate of nearly 2 months, the Golden State Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga reached a deal on Tuesday. According to ESPN's Shams Charania, Kuminga is expected to sign a 2-year, $48.5 million contract with a team option for next season. Kuminga is also waiving his inherent no-trade clause, which could allow the Warriors to trade him by January 15th. The Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns were previously linked to him in the offseason. The deal will also allow the Warriors to sign Al Horford, Gary Payton II, and DeAnthony Melton. Seth Curry is expected to get waived and re-signed in November, when Golden State have enough cap flexibility. The Golden State Warriors officially welcomed Al Horford to the team on Wednesday. Horford was linked to the Warriors for the majority of the offseason, but his arrival was delayed because of the Jonathan Kuminga contract stalemate. Speaking to reporters on Wednesday, Horford explained why he decided to leave the Boston Celtics and bring his talents to the Bay Area. He couldn't turn down the idea of playing with players like Steph Curry and learning under coach Steve Kerr. It's a great opportunity to compete and to win at a high level. When I think about the Warriors, I think about Steph and Draymond and Steve Kerr. Seeing Jimmy Butler here and what he did in that second half of the season after the trade and how they're playing, for me, if there was one place I was going to leave, it was for this, Horford said. Horford admitted that it wasn't an easy decision to leave the Celtics, considering Beantown as a second home. He would have remained a vital piece of the Celtics this season if he stayed, especially after they traded Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday. They're also playing without Jason Tatum, who is recovering from a torn Achilles. Al Horford excited to play with Steph Curry. One of the things emphasized by Al Horford about joining the Golden State Warriors is playing alongside Steph Curry. Horford is excited to play with the two-time NBA MVP and is glad to not be chasing him around screens anymore. He is looking forward to seeing the greatest shooter ever in action. I'm excited just to be able to be on the floor with him and not have to chase him around and try to contest him and all that. So, the fact that we're on the same side, it's something that is special for me. I'm really going to try to take advantage and learn from him as much as I can. He sees the game in a very incredible way, and I'm just going to follow suit and really lean on him, Horford said. Horford faced off against the Warriors in the 2022 NBA Finals as part of the Boston Celtics. He had some big games during the series, but Golden State was too much and took home the championship that year. Al Horford unlikely to play in back-to-back games. At the age of 39, Al Horford is among the oldest players in the NBA this season. Horford didn't play in back-to-back games last season for the Boston Celtics. Dalton Johnson of NBC Sports Bay Area expects the Golden State Warriors to do the same thing to preserve the veteran's body for the playoffs. Just like in Boston last season, Horford likely won't play both games of a back-to-back for Golden State, putting more of an emphasis on needed leaps from Quinton, Post, and Trey Jackson-Davis. Horford isn't the same lockdown defender he once was, but still can be highly effective on that end, Johnson wrote. Quinton Post and Trey Jackson-Davis can learn a thing or two from Horford's experience and skills. Post can knock down threes like Horford, but his rebounding has been hit and miss. Jackson-Davis already has a couple of years of being the understudy of Draymond Green, though Horford's a different kind of defensive player. A month ago, Bleacher Report's Jake Fisher revealed the Golden State Warriors' interest in trading for a New Orleans Pelicans player. Now, the journalist has reinforced that the San Francisco team is still eyeing Trey Murphy as a reinforcement for the upcoming NBA season. Therefore, he's one of the San Francisco team's favorites, as they haven't yet added players with standard contracts for the 2025-26 season. The Pelicans' Trey Murphy is a player the Golden State Warriors are genuinely interested in trading for. After all, the franchise almost selected him in the 2021 NBA Draft, 14th overall, when they were torn between him and Moses Moody. In other words, they decided between Jonathan Kuminga and Franz Wagner in the same draft, Fisher said. The other time the journalist mentioned the Warriors' interest in Trey Murphy, he also revealed that the San Antonio Spurs were in the running. This is because, according to him, the 25-year-old forward's impressive contract appeals to both Western teams for a potential trade. The Warriors really like Trey Murphy and tried to contact the New Orleans team during the NBA offseason about a trade. But the New Orleans Pelicans, to be clear, rejected all offers, placing a high value on him. The forward is entering his first year after a contract extension in 2025-26 and will receive $25 million. A highly talented player. Another team that showed interest in trading for him was the Spurs, the insider said at the time. Murphy is entering his fifth year in the NBA, all with the Pelicans. Last season, in fact, was the best of his career. As a result, he averaged 21.2 points, 5.1 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and shot 36.1% from three. Because he's a great wing player and commands a good salary, he's attracting interest from teams like the Warriors. However, the most likely scenario for Golden State to strengthen its position with Murphy is to include Jonathan Kuminga in a sign-and-trade deal. Currently, the Warriors have only 10 players under contract, not counting a potential trade for the power forward. However, one of them is a two-way contract. In other words, out of the 15 players available for the upcoming campaign, the Californian team is 6 players short. The Warriors really need Kuminga at a $20 to $25 million salary, maybe even more, so they can use him in a trade for someone like Trey Murphy, Fisher added. Finally, Trey Murphy was the 17th pick in the 2021 draft and started on the team as a reserve and remained that way until the 2023-24 campaign. Then, in 2024-25, also largely due to the Brandon Ingram trade, the winger had more chances with the Pelicans.